The Black Fat Femme Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio and Dr. John Paul, LLC. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Black Fat Femme Podcast, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I'm one of your hosts, John, also known as Dr. John Paul, coming to you wishing on the days of yesteryear when gas was $1, Chinese food was $5, and rent was $700. Quick fact, do you know that my first apartment, I had a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. It used to sit next to a little freeway, and I could hear the tires on the road when it rained. That was like my favorite thing. My first apartment was only $653 a month. Do you know what I could do if my rent was still that little? Like, I just one day I'm gonna have to tell y'all about the story of how I slept on an air mattress for almost 4 months right out of college. But God, we're here now. Anyway, Queen Joho, how are you?
I just want to make sure I understand. You had $650 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath all to yourself?
$653 a month. Don't forget the 53, because the 53 made the difference.
Made the difference. But a month for your whole place by yourself
Yup. And it was decent too. I'm not gonna say it was super nice because I didn't have the best credit at the time. Shout out to Growth. But I will say that it was a cute little space that was just enough for me. It was home. It was home.
Girl, yeah. if I could pay that price today,
right,
I'd be set for everything.
Right.
Well, okay, lovelies, it's your girl Jordan, aka Joho. aka Broke Girl Joho, of the multi-award-winning podcast, BFF Black Fat Femme.
Amen.
Speak on it. Now I'm here to tell you that in case you did not know, we are in fact those girls.
Yes.
We're in fact those bitches.
Yes.
We did the damn thing.
And
with our gold and silver awards.
Gold and silver.
Mm-hmm. Not bronze.
Okay, yes, not bronze. Let's be real. Let's make sure that we let the dollars know that we are gold and we are silver, honey. And I do want to say it is not lost on me, real quick. I don't want to take away from your thunder, Joho. It is not lost on me how many people, so first off, y'all woke me up. I want to say that I was literally laying there and I was like, why is my phone going off like this? I said, what is happening? And I turned over and it was Bay, it was you, it was Joey, it was like Will text me and I was like, what is going on? And sure enough, it was that we had won the Signal Award. So I'm so grateful and to everybody who, the outpouring of love from all of our listeners and the people that we love who shouted us out. Like, I'm lost for words. I really am. I literally cried for most of yesterday morning. I was just so thankful. So, yeah.
I heard that it was a record-breaking voting time as well too. So thank y'all for voting for us on 2 categories and helping us win in 2 categories. It's so amazing and to join in such a gift and such a privilege. It's a privilege to be doing the show alongside you, John. And I'm so thankful to see where we're going, experience it. So,
and I love to, whenever I do anything, people are always like, "Where's Joho?" And I'm like, me and Joho are co-hosts, and they have a life and a job. But I love that now, whenever people see me, they think of you, and I hope the same, vice versa. But I just love that for us that we are literally the 2 black fat femme girls, taking on the world the way that we do. So all jokes aside, we are here to have a really good time with our guests. So we do have someone in our third seat this week, which I'm actually really excited about. I've been looking for, so I'll say this, we're episode 173. I've been thinking about this episode forever. We've talked about it. We've entertained the concept of this episode. And what I will say is it almost feels kismet because soon as we started kind of talking about, we really need to do a religion episode. We really need to talk about religion and the ways that it's impacted us. We got the axe for this guest to be on the show. And so I'm really, really excited that we get to head down to the New Life National Baptist First Mother African Bethany Emmanuel Church, honey, to connect with our new friend to the show about all things holy. Holy key. Yes, honey. We get to talk about all things holy. All jokes aside, Kristian is a multifaceted leader and pastor of so you're at the faith community where he helps people develop their best internal image and how they live out their faith, which I absolutely love and think is a great idea. Welcome to the show, Kristian A. Smith. How are you, my dear?
I am doing well. I'm excited to be here. I love y'all energy. It's just amazing. I'm just sitting here, just enjoying it. And my first apartment out of college, 2007 in Huntsville, Alabama, one bed, one bath, $450.
Has me beat. Has me beat.
Ooh,
Could you
ooh,
imagine $450
ooh,
prices this time? Oh,
ooh.
girl, the
I
bags
can't.
I would have.
You can't even pay that for a square foot.
Look,
No.
you can't even get gas for that much.
You can buy a
TBH.
rug. Like, oh
Nope,
my
can't buy a
God.
rug for
Ooh,
$450. My
ooh.
God, what a time! What a time to be
Well, we
alive.
are so happy to have you here with us,
Mm-hmm.
and and I appreciate you loving that energy. We love yours as well. And we're going to love it
Same.
all together today. So on Together for Girl, we do every week. We honor our girl, Miss Tisha Campbell, in our Still Here segment. And I'm going to stay in my spiritual bag like it was last week and ask the question to us all: what lesson have we learned from our biggest spiritual challenge and or awakenings? I'll go first. We'll pass it to our guests, then we'll pass it
Yes.
to John. So for me, I'll say I used to identify as atheist and or agnostic when I was younger. Like I chose not to believe in a higher power, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because I had only heard that God would not love me and such.
Mm.
And my parents weren't really religious. I didn't really know anybody that was like deeply into spirit and such. But when I first started practicing yoga, and like during our practices and now doing meditation as well too,
Yeah.
I feel like I unlocked a deep level of my intuition that I had not like remembered, because I think I had it when I was a kid, but as like a growing adult I was like, oh, what is this? And I would feel presence during my practice. Like I remember that I would sit like, like they say sometimes when you meditate really well you feel like you're levitating, but I feel like I thought I was levitating, but like something was lifting me. Like I felt presence around me, and so I realized that for
Mm.
me there was something there, and I was tired of denying it because I kept denying it and telling myself that it's not there, it can't be true. Rather, I wanted to celebrate it, and so that was like that for me. Like I think what I've learned is that, and I have mentioned this in my like in my Devar tour when I did my birthday last year. Like
Yeah.
miracles happen whether I believe it or not, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'd rather choose to believe it than believe that's not possible, because
Amen.
miracles will still happen.
Amen. Yes. She said, I'm levitating. You want me? I want you,
Please,
baby.
come on, Dula Peep.
Not you on
Come
your
on,
doula
Dula
peep,
Peep.
girl. I know that's right. She said, I'm levitating.
Please.
Yes, yes. I love it. What about you, Kristian?
Yeah, like my biggest lesson comes from the fact that like my spiritual awakening really started as an intellectual project.
Mm,
Um, when I felt like I was called to preach, my dad, who was a pastor, told me, "All right, son, that's cool, but he's like, I need you to know that a call to preach is a call to prepare.
mm-hmm,
So you need to go get educated. You need to study, go to seminary." So I went to seminary just to get educated, to learn how to better do what I was already doing.
right. The
And then
job. Yeah.
in seminary, like my whole theological world changed. And my biggest lesson is discovering how much I don't know.
Mm,
Because, Joe, unlike you, I was raised in the church. I was raised with like real strong faith and really deeply rooted. But so much of it was presented to me as certainty
mm-hmm,
that,
mm-hmm,
this is how it works. It just is what it is because the Bible says so.
mm-hmm,
And then when I started to educate myself theologically, it was like, oh no, there's actually way more to this than anybody told me. And it
Mm,
opened up my eyes and expanded my curiosity in such a way
mm,
that I never want to get tied down to that level of certainty ever again, because
mm.
mm,
spirituality is mysterious, it's
Yeah.
ambiguous,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that has been a major shift for me.
Mm. That's actually low key really powerful. I think both of you finding, because I think what I hear as kind of the through line is, even though Joho said I didn't grow up with religion, I still found faith. And for you to say I grew up with religion and I still had to redefine what my faith looks like, I think really speaks to kind of the work. And we're going to be talking about that for those who are listening. We'll be getting into a little bit more of that a little bit later in the show. But I was going to say, like, I hear this through line, and I think that's kind of where this conversation is headed. I appreciate you both sharing that, because I think for me, I in the same way. I grew up and again, people know this about me. I grew up extremely religious as well. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. So
Mm.
growing up a J Dub, and growing up what I like to call now the Borg, and also I've named as a cult. It is what it is. Um, There was a lot of things that I grew up with that I thought was true, and then I had to like relearn for myself as to not be true. So I think that's what the challenge for me was the stuff that I thought was true, having people be like, "Well, girl, have you ever questioned it?" And I was like, "No." And then having to be like, "Wow, some of this stuff actually doesn't align with the way I want to live my life and the way I want to actually feel about my spirituality." Right.
Mm.
So there was that. But I also think the awakening that I really truly learned in that, and this is actually what I put in the notes. I said one of the big things for me was that not all people who say they love the Lord are good people, because there
Mm.
were a lot of mean, terrible things
Mm.
said to me when I decided that I didn't want to be a JW anymore. And that's when it really opened up the eyes to me that, oh, not all religious people are good people. And that was really hard for me to kind of come to terms with. And we're seeing that now, right? We're seeing a lot of people use religion as a form of hatred to harm people or to further fear. And so it's a very interesting thing to see, and it's a very interesting to know. What I will say is what I've learned in all of this in my time is that there's a lot we can learn from other religions, and that there's no, in my opinion, personally, I feel like I have a very universalist way of thinking, right? Whether it be the hum yum num re yo, or whether it be, praise God, right? There's something that we all can learn from all of those things. Joho, please stop laughing at me. And
I'm tracking
so
with you
I'm just
though.
saying, like
I'm tracking.
universally, there,
Yeah.
whether it be Catholic, whether it be Christian, whether it be Buddhist, whether it be whatever you want to do, if you have if you have a teaching that is going to make me a better person, I want to hear that.
Mm.
If it's going to make me see life better, if it's going to make me love better, if it's going to make me be happier, if it's going to help me make other people happier, please bring it my way. But I just ain't got the time for the hatred. So I think that's been the biggest awakening for me, is that how do I spot that? How do I spot that undertone of hatred and ugliness that a lot of people use in religion to cause harm? And so, yeah, if you want me to move like Jesus, then we all got to be like Jesus, if that's
Mm.
a word. So yeah, but that's where I'm at
Mm.
with that.
I feel that.
Mhm.
I feel that so much. Feel that so much in my spirit, and I wish we lived in a world where people didn't feel the need to weaponize God. One, because God don't
Mm.
like that, right? Like I know God's sitting there like, why use me
Now
like this?
now why am I
Why
in
am I?
it?
Now why am I in it? He's like, why am
Now
I
why
in
am
it?
I in it?
That I,
Mhm,
he's like,
mhm.
I said nothing about this in my book. I don't
Girl,
know why
did
you
you
saying all this now. But
ain't
so
even called me, ain't
right,
said nothing to
right.
me in weeks, but yeah, you
I'm
know
just a
everything. Go
girl,
off,
like,
okay.
and so
Mhm.
so I do appreciate when people are able to bring like their basic spirituality into a space and really share how it's actually meant to be loving and caring and kind. I just was laughing because just like not because not just like I love Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I was like, not you saying hum num go, and I was like, no no no
Girl, I
no
don't know what
no.
she said, but I
The
felt it
printer,
when Tina
the
was
printer is
chanting that
mad.
num yum red cake. I said, I don't know what she's saying, but I feel it. I feel it,
Ooh.
girl. Please give me some
Well,
calmness. Mhm.
now that we are wide awake, sans Katy Perry, we need to take our first break. We'll be back in a sec with our amazing guests in just a bit.
All right, y'all. So now that y'all have been able to grab you a snack and come on back, this week we are talking a little bit more about something we have mentioned in the past. And like I said, I'm so happy we get Kristian to dive in a little bit deeper with this and get it from the actual, what they say, the horse's mouth. We get to get it from the horse's mouth. I love that. So we're going to be talking about, the thing, the good old church hurt that we've daunted on, we've kind of played around, but really thinking about this concept of church hurt and how often it can refer to people like myself who have left religion because of some type of trauma or pain. And what I want to make sure that I say very much at the top is that I don't want folks to feel like this whole episode is us bonding in trauma. I really want folks to hear this episode and hear our perspectives and hear us talk about these things, and really hear Kristian too as they share their experience about how we can heal with something that oftentimes is used as a weapon to harm us. And so that's the thing we really wanted to hit on. So this week, since we have Kristian and a pastor in our third seat, we thought it would be great to have this conversation that might help you on your healing journey or coming to terms with some of the stuff you may be dealing with in your own back pocket. So I would love to start this conversation by asking Do you have a specific moment where you realize that maybe you may have experienced? And again, I also don't want to assume that I know your experience with religion, but I know
Mhm.
there's a through line, right, in some of the stuff we've experienced and heard. But I would love to know: is there an experience specifically, maybe where you were like, "Ouch, that actually kind of hurt me or didn't make me feel good"? If you feel comfortable sharing, and what maybe instituted the want or the need for you to heal from it, and how to use that in the work that you're currently doing.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mhm.
And my journey actually didn't start with my own hurt.
Mm,
Um,
mhm.
and you know what? I should say, when I have these conversations, I make a distinction between church hurt and religious trauma. And not everybody has to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just helpful for me. My wife
Mhm.
is a religious trauma therapist,
Yeah.
so we really like have a lot of conversations about this. But like when I think about church hurt, I think about being hurt by people at the church,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm.
somebody at church mistreated you, did you wrong, so on and so forth. And I put those types of experiences in the church hurt category. Like me being a fat kid and kids at church making fun of
Fun
me
of
because
you.
I was
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I look at
Mhm.
church hurt.
Mhm.
Religious trauma is tied to the theology specifically.
Yeah.
Mm.
Religious trauma is tied to what the belief system says about you as a human being
Mm.
and how it conditions you to see yourself and
Yeah.
treat
Mm.
yourself. And for me, my awakening really happened not when I considered how the theology was harmful to me.
Mhm.
It hit me when I realized how harmful it was to my siblings.
Yeah.
Like, because I was always raised to treat people right. That's what my
Mhm.
parents always stressed. Even
Mm.
with my even with some of my theological blind spots, it was still treat people right.
Yeah.
So I remember growing up in Oakland, California, over on MLK. That's where my church was, and right across the
Mm.
street from the church was the block where the trans sex workers posted up.
Mhm.
And I remember one time walking over there with my dad. He was the pastor, and I didn't know what the interaction was going to be like. But they was like, "Hey, pastor," and he was like, "Hey,
Mm.
y'all," and it was just love. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
And he had some beliefs that were not affirming of
Right.
them.
Right.
At the end of the day, though, he was still trying to like just be kind to people.
Mhm.
So when I went to seminary and I had my views challenged on human sexuality, and I began to reflect on how human sexuality works and how that doesn't align with what my theology told me,
Mhm.
I realized just how damaging my theology was to my neighbors around me
Mm.
because I grew
Mm.
up in the black church with a whole lot of privilege.
Yeah.
I'm a cisgender heterosexual black boy, that can sing a little bit, got a little charisma,
Mhm.
you know.
She
I'm
said,
good
"I
in
got
Bible
courage,
drill.
uniqueness, nerve, and talent." Yes, yes, yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Uh-huh.
Please.
So
Cut around these parts. I know that's right. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's privilege in the black church. You don't
T.
get any more privilege than that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't aware of how damaging the theology was because, I grew up in a don't ask, don't tell space. So yeah,
Mm.
there were gay people, there were queer people in the church, but like everybody accepted the fact that it was like the thing you're not supposed to talk about.
Mhm.
So I didn't
Mm.
think to really push back until I got in seminary and I was around people who believed differently than me. And they were like, hey, maybe you should like take a second look at that. And
Mm.
when I started to reflect on my own sexuality, and I asked myself, Christian, because I was told growing up that sexuality is a choice,
Mhm.
and so I had to sit with that, like, okay, Christian, let me apply that to myself. Was my sexuality a choice?
Mhm.
And it was very clear to me that I didn't choose my sexuality. That sexuality isn't a choice; it's a
It
discovery.
was bestowed
Like you
on you.
just
Yeah.
discover
Mm.
who you are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I say, okay, if I just discovered who I am, why would I practice a theology that says my queer sibs chose it?
Right.
It's like that doesn't even make sense. And
Mhm.
that just
Mm.
started me on this whole journey of just like questioning so many things. And then I worked my way around to how the theology was actually harmful to me. But I didn't
Mm.
start there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a
Wow. That's
word.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, but also like it's really special and powerful to hear to hear that what prompted your experience wasn't so much about wasn't so much about your experience, but like seeing others. Because I think that's also like it's hard to, especially at like a younger age, it's hard to see things beyond yourself. And so for you to hear that like your actual your viewpoint was, oh, I'm seeing how it's harming others, and I'm seeing how maybe I'm a part of that as well too.
Yeah.
That's just not something that people do at all. So I really appreciate hearing that from you. And I'm curious to ask, like, so no, so like knowing that the mythology you were raised with was disconnected from how people really were, and also was, you know, it was also like a participation in the harm of others. Curious how it affected your sense of trust in other faith leaders around you growing up. Um, and just like what that felt like and how you reconcile with that.
You know, for me, it really made me question the system itself.
Mm.
You know, because my faith leader was my dad, and I knew him on a real personal level. So I knew that he really wanted to do right by everybody. I
Yeah.
knew that, you know, and he had some limiting beliefs. He had some
Mm.
beliefs that weren't affirming. We were not affirming space for uh, Q plus people, you know. But he was very like adamant about women's equity. So I always had
Uh-huh.
that there. But like when I started to unpack the theology, and then I was like, oh, this is a whole system. Like
Right, right.
this is like this
Mhm.
whole thing, like going back and looking at the history of Black people and how we were introduced to Christianity in the context of slavery, and how
Mm.
those beliefs, John, you talking about that through line.
Yeah.
Like there's a through line
Mhm.
theologically if you
Mhm.
go through our history. So it made me question and have a immense distrust for the system.
Yeah.
I threw out so much of my theology because I decided I don't want to continue to practice any theology that causes harm to anybody.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the whole system had to go out of the door for me, and that's what helped me to develop my own theological framework for myself.
Yeah.
I was
Mm.
like, I need to find a theological framework that works for me because I'm still very spiritual. I still believe in a higher power, and I still love the Black church, but like I can't continue to practice that harmful theology.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I just landed on this interaction that Jesus had with this attorney, where the attorney was like, "What's the greatest commandment in all the law?" And Jesus said, "Here it is: love God with your heart, soul, mind, and your strength." And the second part is like it, or the second part is equal to it: love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And I realized I had heard in church a whole lot, yeah, love God, love your neighbor. And nobody ever put any stress on the as yourself part.
Mhm.
And I was like, wait a
Mm.
minute. Like, so I'm supposed to love myself? Nobody ever had that conversation with me. Nobody
Mhm.
ever told me how important it is for me to love
Ooh.
myself. But
Ooh.
if I'm supposed to be following the way of Jesus, he bases everything on love for self. Love God
Right.
and love your neighbor as yourself. And he said everything in the law and everything in the prophets
Mm.
hinge on these two. So you can't love God if you don't love your neighbor as yourself, because they go hand in hand.
Right.
So
Right.
so it was like, oh wow.
Ooh. I'm
So
making
we
it
have
giving me
a
chills.
theological system
Mhm.
that actually stigmatizes self-love,
Mhm.
when in fact, if we're going to follow the way of Jesus, the way of Jesus is self-love.
Mm.
And that just flipped everything for me. I didn't trust the system at all.
You said enough
Mm.
with them fishes and loaves. Let's get to the
Mm.
work. Let's
For
get to
real,
the
for real.
work.
Mm.
I know that's right. You're talking about, and I think that's the thing. I think oftentimes too. What I hear, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you don't really engage this conversation, I'm really not just trying to sound like one of those people who really sound who's trying to sound deep when they really not. I'm really trying to make a point here. I think there's something in controlling people or getting folks to kind of move a certain type of way when you can get them to see religion out of themselves, right? if if
Mm.
if you can get someone to see themselves out of that, it's easy to not hold people accountable, right? So that means well, I'm a better Christian than you because I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But are you really doing what the Bible says? Because you're treating people poorly. and you're not treating them the way you would treat yourself. So why would you treat yourself poorly? So like there is this conversation, in my opinion, as I was listening to you talk, I hear you saying, oh, I never thought about myself, because a lot of people are so busy, at least for me, and I'm talking, like you said, the religious trauma versus the church hurt. There's so many people in the church hurt pointing their fingers at other people rather than focusing on themselves and the work they
Yeah.
need to do. That is what I heard, and I think that's such a fantastic thing to think about, when we're thinking about, like you said, I love how you framed, church hurt versus the religious trauma, because I think that's something that really needs to be kind of be focused on. So I guess the next thing, I was going to ask you another question, but this, I guess for me, the biggest thing is, I don't know what, and again, I'm trying not to be like, I'm not trying to be like Oprah, like tell me all your whole life.
Oh no, go ahead.
But I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, maybe in the moments of you taking on your own theology versus the theology your family had or the folks around you had, and maybe this idea of maybe them not aligning and finding peace in between that, right? This idea of knowing, like, the ways that, again, the way that the religion moves, Christianity moves, is not the way I want to move, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of tension between that. How did you find peace, or even how did you find forgiveness in the ways that people made you feel around that?
Oh man, that's been a journey.
Mm-hmm.
When you are bound together in community based on shared beliefs, and your beliefs change, your community connection crumbles
Mm-hmm.
because the community was built on shared beliefs.
Right. Right.
And then once, like, so now we don't believe the same thing. And a lot of times that's why church kids are socially awkward when they come out of very
Mm-hmm.
like strict spaces where you're only supposed to be friends with church friends.
Yeah. JW's
So
was the
you don't
same
really know
way.
how, yeah, you don't really know how to interact with people outside of
Mm-hmm.
that echo chamber. So, you wind up changing your beliefs and have to figure out how to interact with people in a totally different way. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that extreme for me. I wasn't bound up like that, but it did definitely impact a major like communal part of my life, because I believe that's what the work of the church is, to like create community, to bring people together around some type of shared affinity. And that is what it serves for a lot of people. And in my theological evolution, by making the decision to not practice anything that causes people harm,
Mm-hmm.
that definitely brought a lot of pushback. I've had falling out with people who are like literal blood family. I have people who called me family. I actually went through this evolution after I started preaching and already had an itinerary. So all of the churches that used to have me come preach all the time, they stopped inviting me. I actually went to one church in Chicago for the first time, and my theology had already evolved in a lot of ways. But I know how to preach what people can handle. So I went to this church. I gave them a message that they could handle theologically. They really appreciated it. And then when it was over, the pastor was like, "We gonna make this Sunday Christian Smith Sunday every year. He gonna come back and preach this Sunday every year." And everybody was like, "Yay!" And then I left. I went home. They went to my social media and started watching my videos and saw the expanse of what I believed. And he called me back and was like, "Hey, we going in a different direction."
Uh-huh. Of course of course they are. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because people don't want to be challenged like that.
Right.
Because, like, again, what I said earlier, our theology is presented to us as certainty.
Right.
This is the way it is. Don't question it. Whatever the Bible says, that's what you do. And if you question it, it's like a cardinal sin. And here I am saying, nah, let's question everything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a conversation about it all. Let's just make sure we don't cause harm to anybody. Let's make sure we loving our neighbors as ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just too scary. So yeah, I had a lot of relationships that fell by the wayside. And I had a lot of people that have questioned everything about me, like my sanity, my heart, uh what happened to him type stuff. But I built some brand new relationships along the way that I would have
Mm-hmm.
never had. I would have never been able to sit here and talk to you two right now.
T.
Yeah, that would have never happened.
Never
So,
would have happened. Yeah. And I'm so
yeah,
glad that it did because I'm sitting here and I'm being like, yo, I wish all pastors, religious folks thought the way you did because I think to your point, to be so locked into a one way of seeing like I mean it's kind of like I'm not a huge reader but I do enjoy reading books, right? And me and Joho have talked about this. We'll read something or we'll talk about an article or we'll talk about even a show and we'll see the same themes, but Joe will say, actually, I saw it this way. And I thought, and it's like, yes, thank you. Tell me more about this thought process because I want to learn on that. When you can look at a concept that way, how much beautiful the world becomes because now you're not just getting your thought, you're getting Christian's thought, you're getting Joho's thought, you're getting my thought, you're getting anyone else's thoughts. And so I really appreciate you being so open and so expansive in the ways that you use your spiritual platform, if that makes sense. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Somebody once said, I think it was a fortune cookie fortune that said, education turns an empty mind into an open mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
And
And the
that's why they're
more
Mm.
you
trying to take
learn,
education away. Hmm.
yeah,
Okay. Oh,
the more you learn,
Hmm.
the more
wake
you
it up.
realize you don't know, the more you realize how much there is to know.
Yep.
So it keeps you open, it keeps you
Hmm.
curious.
And
Yeah.
that's why they don't want slaves to read. But neither here nor there. Go ahead, Joho.
Oh, wake it up, y'all. Wake it up.
Hmm.
Christian, what you're like, you remind me a lot of one of my most beloved people is also a pastor's son. And he doesn't he hasn't like become a pastor himself, but he's like still very like very involved in the church, very godly. He does the work that focuses on supporting unhoused communities. And when I first met him, he was someone who like struggled a lot with understanding and accepting human sexuality. And like in the past decade or past, I've known him for the past 13 years since I've known him. Like he's gone from being like, listen, you're gay, be my friend, and I love you. I don't get your lifestyle, but I love you so much. To now, to now,
Hmm.
like he was just awarded by the local LGBT center for his work with queer and trans folks,
Was
especially with
that
trans
you
folks.
that was standing next to you? Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Keep going. But yeah.
I'm
I'm
not
with
trying to
you.
name names because he might
Yeah,
listen to the
I'm
show. So I'm
with
not
you.
trying
No,
to
the
name
dude was
names.
standing next to you in that award.
But
Uh-huh.
like I've known him for so long and I've watched his
Yeah.
journey. One thing I love about him is that he's someone who I feel like like exemplifies and like actually like lives godly in that way,
Yeah.
because his framework of God and spirituality and theology and what it means to be Christian like has adapted to life around him. And I think that's been really powerful and really beautiful. And I appreciate hearing that in yourself too, that because God is adaptive. Like God is not static. God actually is adaptive.
Mhm.
Any higher power, they're always being adaptive to what's happening in the moment. And so it's really special. I appreciate hearing you talk about this because I also have been like he's the only person that I know that lives out the values that he says, and also like God manifests in really beautiful ways with him, and it's been amazing to see his art. And so it's nice to know that now there's somebody else I can say, oh, it's not just him anymore. I know actually know
Right.
two
It's
people
good.
now who do that. And so
Mhm.
That's what's up.
I'm just ask you just on that point, and there's it's a bit of a twofer. Like no, right now that your practice has adapted, your lens of it has shifted, and and evolved in this way. I'm curious about what are the like how do you protect yourself from others who may have a more I would say like
Nefarious. Uh-huh.
no, I mean not nefarious, but like like maybe are too too beholden
Okay.
to older
Okay.
ideals, and
Hmm.
also right to that point, how do you separate the character of your higher power from the actions of those who misrepresent that higher power?
All right now.
Okay. So first, like, how do I protect myself? Like, what boundaries do I have in this
Mm-hmm.
space? I've learned that over time because when I first started thinking differently and really shifted my theology to do no harm, like that's where I landed when my theology shifted.
Mhm.
Do no harm, you'll figure everything else out.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm presented with some type of ethical or moral dilemma, how can I ensure that I'm doing no harm here? I'm doing no harm to
Mhm.
my neighbor. I'm doing no harm to myself. right? And that's how I started sharing my new theology with people. But and then come to find out, a lot of people aren't really concerned about not doing harm. They don't really care that harm is being done because if it's what God wants them to do, then that's just the consequences of it, right? So
My God.
early on, like when I first started sharing my theology publicly, I would try to reason with everybody. I would try to give people logical arguments of like, why I think this and why I believe this, and here's this Bible verse, and here's this study, and here's this data, and all of this. And my wife is a therapist. So she saw the interactions I was having with people, and she said, Kristian, you're absolutely right in what you're saying, but people don't connect to their theology intellectually, they connect to it emotionally. Like, John, you talked about it earlier about how so much of it is rooted in fear. That's an emotional connection. When your connection to your theology is fear based, you cannot be reasoned out of it because you connect to it emotionally. And I was trying to just give people logic. So once I realized that I was putting in too much work to try to move people intellectually and logically, then I actually started to preserve my own emotional energy and how much energy I put into these interactions. So I started trying to meet people at the point of their emotions. And for people who were willing to unlearn, I would engage them in whatever way I felt was helpful. But I learned not to try to reason with unreasonable people. That's my boundary. Like, if your mind is already made up and you are committed to your bigotry, I can't help you. I'm not about to try to argue with you. And it's like, hey,
Yep.
if that's what you own, that's what you own.
Yep.
And you just gotta go your way because you can't be that around me.
Yep.
So that just means we not gonna be in relationship with each other.
And
So
some
it's just,
people like, not to cut you off, but some people like to argue. That is the thing.
yes.
Some people get so much joy out of trying to prove you wrong.
Absolutely. They in my comments every day on social
Yep.
media. People I ain't never responded to. They be writing whole dissertations in my comments. Like, there's no way in the world I'm gonna read this.
Right.
Like,
Who
no way in the
is you,
world.
Shy? Yeah, who are you,
I
Shy?
have no
Yeah.
time, maybe,
Yeah,
please.
Chiron. I don't know who is this? Like, what's his name say? Who are these niggas?
Who are they? Each and every one of them, goddamn. Because I swear. Yeah.
Hey, go,
So
baby.
that's been major for me. Just like not giving that kind of energy to people who don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Like once you show me you're not interested in unlearning, you're not interested in being curious,
Yeah.
this conversation is over.
Right.
Because there are people who want to have the conversation, want the information, want to do the work, and those are the people that I want to give my energy to.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the second question, remind me again exactly what it
Yes.
was.
I was like,
I just lost
it. Just how you separate the character of your higher power from the actions of those who misrepresent it.
Yeah. I don't think Jesus is the problem. I think it's Jesus's fan base. The fan base is the
Fandoms be
problem.
nasty. Fandoms be nasty for real.
Yeah, we see. Yeah, child. Looking at Nicki
Yeah,
Minaj,
absolutely.
girl. Look at Nicki Minaj, but go off.
Yeah, absolutely. When I
Mm-hmm.
when I look at the story of Jesus, because I'm a theologian. I went to school I got a master's in divinity where I really studied this stuff heavily. I learned how to think theologically in school, and then my education has been ongoing even since school. So I'm just constantly thinking theologically. And when I actually look at the story of Jesus, look at the principles, it's like, how is it Christian nationalism is trying to represent this character? Like, whether you think Jesus walked the earth or you just think he was a character in a story, that's not important to me. I don't care what you think about that. But there is a narrative framed around this character in this story. So for people like Christian nationalists to try to represent this character is insane to me, because when Jesus comes onto the scene and introduces his ministry, He says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me and has anointed me to do 4 things. First thing he said was preach good news to the poor. If I was going to apply that in our context, that sounds like economic justice.
Yeah.
Right. So Jesus came on the scene and was like,
Okay.
you see what I'm saying? Good news to
I'm
the
Okay.
with you
poor.
when
Good
you're
news to the
right.
poor.
I
I'm
smell what you're
with you
cooking
when
now.
you're
I smell what you're
right.
cooking. Yes.
Yes,
You see
go
what I'm
ahead.
saying?
Go off.
So anointed me to preach good news to the poor. And then the second part was release for the prisoner. That sounds like prison reform or abolition is
Yep.
what that sounds like to me
Yep.
in our context. And then third, he said healing for the sick. That sounds like access to health care.
Yep.
So if Jesus were alive today, I believe Jesus will be trying to get everybody health care.
Yep.
Right. So that's how I can take my Jesus and apply it to what's going on around us. Because right now we're in the middle of a government shutdown because some people don't want us to have affordable health care. And I believe these are things that Jesus cared about. He said economic justice, prison reform or abolition, access to health care. And then he said liberation for the oppressed.
He sure did.
So when I look at those who are marginalized around me, those are the people that Jesus said he cared about out the gate. So I just come to the conclusion that it's not Jesus, it's the fan base. So I don't currently identify with the fan base, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm notorious for this, but that is going to be the title of this episode. It's not Jesus, it's the fan base. That is a perfect title for this episode. But
I
so I'm
love
sitting
it.
here thinking as I'm listening to you, I'm said and I hope you receive this when I say this. I was like, I wonder if this nigga got a link so I can start creeping in on Sunday to watch, because you've won me over. You've won me over. I said this is a pastor that I could get with right here, because
I appreciate
you
it.
break you're breaking it down, and like I said, I'm with you when you're right, and I appreciate. I want to say this, and I mean this with so much love. There are going to be so many people. And I'm not gonna say like we have millions of people who listen. One day we will, but there are multiple people who have listened to this podcast and have said this podcast or this episode has hit me or touched me or helped me in this way. I
Sure.
believe a lot of what you've shared today is going to. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional in saying this. It's going to help a lot of people. I really believe that in my heart of hearts. Like, I feel like we've done a lot of great episodes, and I'm sitting here and I'm going, I'm so excited for this episode to come out, because I
Wow.
know so many people need to hear exactly what you're saying in this time. I have trans friends who can't get HR, they can't get hormone replacement therapy, right? Because
Yeah.
HRT, because of what's going on. They have family that have denounced them. I have friends who are saying, I don't want to go to my family's house for the holidays because of the way that they talk about it. But yet there are these Christian people who claim to be one way or the other. And I think so much of what you said today has validated so much of what I've even thought about my own family who purports themselves to be Christian. And I just, I don't know you from, a can of paint, but what I will say is I really want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for like when I think of God, or when I think of what's holy, or I think of you embody that. You embody exactly everything I think that a pastor or a person preaching the word should be. And like I said, people know this about me. I'm not a super Christian person, but I will
Sure.
say this, like spiritually, I feel like what you said today is just really timely. And I'm just so grateful that you exist. I really, really do.
I
So yeah.
appreciate it.
And I just, again, thank you. Thank you for what you do. It really means a lot to me. Um,
Yeah.
all
When
right.
I when I
Go
when
ahead. Go
I
ahead,
when
baby.
I went through my evolution, my thought wasn't how can I be a great Christian? How can I be a great person?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like to practice a theology that doesn't just make me useful to Christianity, but
Yeah.
makes me useful to humanity? So
Mm-hmm.
that a person doesn't need to be a Christian to say,
I
I
fucks with
appreciate
that.
what you're saying. You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Like and I think that's kind of shaped how I approach it, because like when I landed on the greatest commandment, love God, love your neighbor as yourself, that's not relegated to Christianity.
Yeah.
Like our faith community, only a third of the people in our faith community identify as Christian.
Yeah.
Like the rest of them are somewhere in like the I don't know what I am, or I'm agnostic or atheist. but I appreciate the message of this ministry and the connection to the communities.
So real.
So yeah, I don't think Jesus cared so much about people's religion either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just
Yeah, just
what
be.
inspires me.
You really, you're just saying be a good, like it doesn't. I feel like I'm preaching on a soapbox when I say it doesn't hurt anybody to be good, like to be a good person.
It
Just be
doesn't.
a good fucking person. Like we are
That's it.
all dealing with so much stuff as humans in this human experience. It doesn't take anything from anybody to be like people say that to me. Oh, John, you're such a nice person. Why wouldn't I be? Like why wouldn't I come into a space and say I want people to be happy when they're around me? I want people to
Yeah.
feel safe when they're around me. I want people to know that they're loved. I want people to know, don't touch my food, but I'm happy to share with you, right? Like why not? Like I just
Yeah.
don't get it. I don't get, and maybe this is, maybe this is a no man Pam, and we can maybe get into that later. I just don't understand why we are all, and I say this not specifically talking about any woman. I'm just saying I don't understand why people, and I know why, but I don't comprehend in this moment why everyone is being so nasty to one another, and it makes me sad. It makes me very
Mm.
sad. But at the end of the day, it does give me a lot of hope that you are out there doing what I believe is the Lord's work. So while I stand over here in this corner and sing Rain to Jordan's little friend who won that award, rain down on me, let your love just shower me, just rain on me. Yes, while I sing that in this corner, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we are going to top pop culture. We'll be back in a second.
And we are Black Fam, and as you all know, these last few weeks have been hard because we lost some really important names to the culture, to not just Black culture, but culture all around. Because first I'll say Diane Keaton, who I mean is not a Black woman whatsoever, but culturally was us and all of our
But that
moms
was my
on
auntie,
films.
though. Diane
Yeah,
Keaton
it
was
was
my
actually
white
our
auntie.
grandma on
Mm-hmm.
on films. And then also most recently D'Angelo, who
Yeah,
has loved
damn.
Black women forever and provided the best love songs and sensual songs that one could ask for.
Mm-hmm.
So we over here sending out so much love to their families
Yeah.
and really hoping that the transitions into the world beyond is smooth and beautiful and peaceful. And I want to ask you all, since we're on this topic, what celebrity passings have had the biggest impact on you? And if they're still around, how much different do you think your life would be?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start. Then I'll go to Christian. Then I'll go to John. For me, I'll say there's two of them. My first one is Amy Winehouse. She's my favorite singer in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she
Mm.
had a voice like no other. When she passed, I like legit cried tears. I literally hope like that morning woke up, heard, was in tears, went to school, was like Saturday at school, played every CD that I had of hers. I had all of her CDs. But to me, I think someone like she's someone who I think like lyrically, she had such like powerful, vivid lyrics that were just so like she talked about pain and joy and pleasure in such beautiful words and such powerful words. Like she really
Real.
could paint you.
Real.
She could paint you so many pictures with her songs. And I think like that's just a talent that not everyone has to that level. And I think like what I would have given to hear her sing live, to me like there just is not a voice like hers whatsoever. And even today like their voices I just like people are saying, oh, this artist sounds like her. No, they don't
No.
sound like her. They never will.
No.
And I
Mm-mm.
think she's still around today. I think like because also she would do doo-wop songs, she do jazz songs, which in some cases are historically black culture and genre music too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have had like not like a more knowledgeable base of it because I like really love some jazz albums. I love some love some like also doo-wop stuff, but I think I would just had like a lot more. I think like her, she got me into live music. I would like
Mm.
go to live music
Yes.
more
Yes.
if she was here. And when I say live music, I mean like live intimate, like intimate shows, coffee house shows. Like her voice obviously was big and she was selling out, arenas, but her voice was giving like the most intimate coffee shop where it's just you and her. So
Mm-hmm.
I wish she was still here. That impacted me a lot. Then I'll also say Chadwick Boseman, and not because I
Yes.
was like such a
Yes.
huge
Yes.
consumer of his work, but because like one, like his passing was just so sad and so sudden, especially because especially because like for Black Panther
He
was so
was the Black
culturally
Panther.
like, it
Yes.
was so culturally important and like,
Mm-hmm.
it was a cultural shift, and people were waiting for Black Panther 2 with him, and,
Right.
like and I think, like, that movie I remember, like, like, that movie every day for, like, a year. Never walked by, like, another Black person would be like this, "Wakanda forever." Just, like,
Literally.
walking with, like,
Literally.
it
Yeah,
was, like
yeah.
like, I feel like that was a moment where, like, being black has always felt cool, but that was a moment where, like, everyone was like, "Oh, being black is so cool."
Mm-hmm.
Like this movie is for us. This whole thing is for us, and to have lost that, right? To like in some cases represented that was really really sad. And I think if he was still here, one Black Panther 2 would have been so different. But also,
Would have been
I
bigger,
think
I think.
I
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
think like the way especially the way that we like consume comic culture. I think would have been different. I think
Yeah.
there've been many more stories that focus on black superheroes, if he was still here too.
Mm.
That's my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. Christian, how about you, Pasta?
So you actually mentioned two of mine. Like the two that I was gonna mention. First one is D'Angelo. It just happened this week. Like
Yeah.
I'm a huge D'Angelo fan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I listen to D'Angelo weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm,
he
Mm.
gave us three classic no skip albums.
Yeah.
mm,
Yes.
Like as far as I'm concerned, D'Angelo has a perfect discography. I
Mm-hmm.
could put on all three of his releases and just let them play and not skip a track.
Mm-hmm.
And to that extent, like I asked on my social media, I asked people, what's your favorite D'Angelo song? And there are so many answers because there was no clear favorite because he has so many great songs, and people are like, oh, I forgot about that one. Oh, I forgot about that one. Oh man, yeah, I can't really choose because that's how amazing his work was, and I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate D'Angelo because Voodoo was like my soft entry into destigmatizing African spirituality.
Yes.
Yeah,
Say that. Say that.
yeah,
Go ahead.
so that was
Say
real for
that.
me because I have really really come to embrace African spirituality in more meaningful ways. Like in our faith community, we have a group of Black women in that group. They just do African spirituality type stuff.
Yeah.
So voodoo really was like an introduction to that, to destigmatizing the spiritual practices that sustained our people before we ever got here and
Right.
before we ever had Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that has been very difficult because I was hoping for more music from D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah.
And then Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of
Mm-hmm.
Chadwick Boseman. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I like going to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I saw Chadwick in a role, I believed him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a character actor too. So like I believed him as Jackie Robinson. I believed him as Thurgood Marshall. I believed him in these
mm,
roles. He made me believe him. And I
mm.
felt like he was a generational talent. I was looking at Chadwick like, oh, he's gonna be the one. He's gonna be our Denzel.
Denzel. That's
That's
exactly where my
Mhm,
head went. He's
mhm,
gonna be our
mhm,
Denzel. Yep.
that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
And you know how we
mhm.
feel about Denzel, right?
Oh, I don't play
So
Yeah.
about Denzel.
I felt like the universe
Mm-hmm.
robbed us with
Yeah.
Chadwick because think about
Yeah.
how much Denzel has impacted our lives with all of his art.
Sure
I
did.
Mhm,
expected
Yeah.
that with Chadwick. So
mm,
that one was tough,
Yeah,
tough, tough, tough.
it's hard because I'm not going to even purport myself to be this huge D'Angelo fan, but I there were songs there and there are songs in my catalog that I love. You know, his cover of Cruisin' I thought was probably one of the best covers of
mm,
of that song. I've heard it in so many different iterations. That his
Yeah.
was the best one. It's kind of the same way I believe in random but related. Anita Baker, I would have never let her cover lately because I felt like Anita did better than Tyrese on that song. If you have not heard Anita sing
mm,
lately, whoo,
Mm,
she ate that song up. But that's neither
yeah.
here nor there. I will say this too before I go on to mine. I got so I posted this on Threads. In my my years, I think it was about 13 or 14 when Untitled came out. I got in trouble by my mom for singing that song because I wouldn't stop doing the Prince yell at the end when he's like, yeah, 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 yeah. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't stop doing it. And my mom was like, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna put you gonna be on punishment. You can't watch videos. And sure enough, I got put on punishment because I thought I was testing Edwina and she won. So we love Edwina around these parts. And people always do that too when they see me. They say, shut up, tell your mama I said hi. I said, I will. She don't listen, but she knows that she is a fan favorite around these parts. So yes, I did get in trouble.
Is.
I will also say I didn't know until yesterday. Did you know that the ending of that song was not intentional? That the ending of Untitled, it's because the tape ran out. So that's why it cuts off the way that it does.
Oh, wow.
And the producer, there was a producer who came forward and said that D'Angelo wanted to recut that part, and the producer came back and said, "No, let's keep it because the Beatles do this in another song." He played the song for him, the Beatles song, and that is what the creative decision was made to keep that ending of Untitled. And so the how does it feel, and then it cuts out. That was a creative decision. So it just goes to speak like D'Angelo, as much as, like I said, I'm not the hugest D'Angelo fan, but I cannot deny the talent that was there. I cannot say that his talent and his work didn't inspire, when you think about it, him, Erykah Badu, you think about Andre 3000 and you think about, them as a just the feat of that era from 97 to like 2000, the whole neo soul of it all, Angie Stone, Music Soul, like you can't deny that D'Angelo didn't usher that in. Like he was the one who ushered that whole wave in. And so I really just want to speak his name and just really say, like, I'm really sorry to his son who has had to deal with so much tragedy this year. I couldn't imagine. I really couldn't imagine. And I'm sending love to any of, I have friends who work in the industry too, who I'm sure are connected to him and his legacy in so many different ways. So I want to send my love out. But anyway, for me, I was going to say, I think it's unfair. You negated what I was going to do. So I don't have two people. Actually, I do. You know what I'll say? I think for me, what really shook me was the death of Left Eye. I was really, really, really left unwell after Left Eye passed, but I was even more unwell when Aaliyah died. I definitely felt like we were all robbed, like you said, of her greatness because, and there's this whole conversation, oh, Aaliyah couldn't sing, Aaliyah was an entertainer. And I think that's the thing people keep getting mixed up, that just because you're a great singer doesn't mean you're a great entertainer and vice versa. And I believe that Aaliyah had star quality. She was able to hold herself in a film. She was able to act. She had a charming, beautiful personality. And I mean, I rewatched the making recently on YouTube. I rewatched the making of the Rock the Boat video, and I was just so filled with emotion because you could just see so much light in her. You could see that her life was just starting to really become what she wanted it to become. And it just for that to be snatched from us in such a tragic way is really hard for me. When you ask the question, how would my life be different? I think I actually don't think that I would have given up on entertainment the way that I wanted to, because my dream was to be one of her backup dancers. And I think that if she wouldn't have passed, I wouldn't have made the decision to go the other direction I did, which was business. And obviously now having a pod and having a book and being a speaker and all these other things that I do on the other, on the outside of this work. But I had a dream that I was going to be her backup dancer. I was so set on that. And I think that if she would have still been here, I probably would have stayed in entertainment as a career the way I wanted to. But, situations happen. And now we just are grateful that we have all these great ancestors and angels who can watch over us and make sure that we're good. So we speak all of your names, all the Black excellence, including you, Diane Keaton. You ain't Black, but you still family over here.
So, well, we got to take a moment to tip one out for our homies in the sky.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll be back with y'all's favorite segment. Yes, ma'am, and no man Pam. What's so funny about that?
I hate it here. Tip one out for the homies in the sky. My God. All right, y'all. So we are back with the final segment of this episode, and this episode is just, like I said, easily one of my favorite episodes. No cap. I'm sitting here so grateful
Same.
that
Very much
we
same.
had this convo today. So what we'll get into, so for those of you who are new here, our yes ma'am and our no ma'am. Yes ma'am is the things that we want to give love to, things we want to shout out, things we want to uplift. Our no ma'am are usually the things that we definitely are over or things that we just can't stand. And this week mine are fairly quick. I will say this. So my yes ma'am this week, I would say they're quick and they're not. My yes ma'am this week is the passing of the bills in California that protect trans people. There were 4. One got vetoed, and so I'm looking at Newsom like, girl, what the fuck? But all that to be said, the 4 that actually did get picked up, we're thankful for. One of them specifically protects youth in classrooms, and so are youth that are ultimately wanting to change their gender markers. And I think, outside of the protections and all the things that have been done around trying to make sure that queer kids are safe in schools, it's really cool now that on paperwork and documentation and things that people are protected if they decide that they want to change whatever they want to change in their documents and things. And so, it's just there are a couple of cute safety precautions that have happened here in California, and I'm just grateful that they're here. Will people abide by them? Who knows? But ultimately, the biggest thing I can say is do your homework on these bills. If you are a queer person, if you're a trans person, and you're looking to protect yourself or protect your loved ones, make sure you study these bills. Make sure that you know them, because that is ultimately what folks are using to harm us. The other thing I do want to say too about bills and things, I know I don't know if we're going to get in trouble for this, but if you are a California girly, study Prop 50. You need to know what Prop 50 is about. I'm not going to tell you to vote yes or no, but what I will tell you is that you need to vote, because ultimately that is going to be that is something I truly believe in. I know a lot of people are like, oh, voting's not going to change anything. Yes, it will. It is ultimately what can help you or can harm you. So do your homework. Make sure you vote when it comes down to November 4th. All that to be said, I have one more yes ma'am that I want to say, because I knew I was like, I need to make sure I use my platform to say this. Dua motherfucking Lipa. Girl, you didn't have to go as hard as you did at your concert. So I'm gonna say this. I went into that concert being like, if it's a terrible concert, I'm okay with losing the money. If it's a great concert, at least I can say I saw it. Mama did what need to be done. I've been a fan. Y'all know I love me some Dua Lipa. I love that little Albanian lady. But baby, when I tell you that even my husband looked at me and he said, I am thoroughly impressed. I said, so am I. Like, we were both gooped at how good that concert was. So I just want to say, shout out to Dua Lipa. Shout out to the girls who have seen her and know that she's bomb. I will be at whatever next tour that she decides to do, because mother puts on a show, and she can't dance to save her life, but she definitely can put on a show. I will say that it was a very good show. Lastly, my no man Pam for this week. Now, I know I'll probably get some heat for this because I know how people feel about this woman. I really don't give a fuck. And if you send me a message about it, I'm going to ignore it. I'm sick of people heckling Kamala. I'm really sick of it. And what I mean by this is I understand that y'all have qualms about what she could have done when she was a vice president. I understand y'all have qualms about what she ran on in terms of her her presidency. What I will say is this, and I understand, oh, well, she's a private citizen now, blah, blah. That's not even what I'm saying. My frustration is I wish y'all gave the same energy to the white folks doing the harm out here that you give to folks like Kamala. That's what I'm saying. I wish, and I don't care who it is. They can be black. People are holding Hakeem Jeffries accountable. People are coming after Van Jones. Good. Get all of them niggas together. But what I am saying is keep that same energy for the white niggas who are out here causing us harm. Y'all don't ever be beating nobody down at the Starbucks when they're getting drinks. You don't ever say nothing to them. Y'all don't ever say nothing to these Republicans who are out here passing bills to harm us. Keep that same energy. Leave Kamala alone. She is trying to make a buck off of this book. She is doing what she thinks is best for her. Yes, she may have made some fucked up decisions, but I'm sure if we dig deep enough in your closet, we'll find some stuff too. You are not perfect. Please stop expecting black women to be perfect too. That's all I got to say. Kristian, do you have any yes ma'ams or no ma'am Pams for this week?
You're not gonna preach like that and then just hand me the mic. That's disrespectful. You know, wait a minute. We need to go to another break.
I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. Like, it's just she can't do anything right. And I'm like, What the fuck? Like what else? What else could Kamala do? What could she do?
Yeah.
What can she do now that she's not in office? What could she do? Because we can't even do it. And we're marching. We're going to No King's marches. We're using community funds to try to help people. We can't even do anything. So if we can't do it, then what the fuck do you expect her to do? That's where my thoughts are.
Yeah.
I want someone to answer it for me. I really need someone to explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah, I feel you. I ain't even got into this conversation about Kamala. I just question, is this the best use of our energy?
It's not.
That's what I'd be thinking. Well, what's the best use of our energy? And if I had to prioritize things, I think heckling Kamala will be really, really low on the list.
Low on the list. It's low priority.
Yeah.
It's low priority.
Yeah.
Very low priority.
Absolutely.
When milk is still $10 a gallon, Cheetos is $6 a gallon, and eggs is $12 a gallon. Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's wild out here. But so for my yes ma'am, I'm gonna go with the arts. I'm a big music head. I'm a really big fan of Robert Glasper, and he just released the album recently. So I'm looking forward to diving into that because he's been giving us a lot of music this year. I think we've gotten like 3 albums from him this year. So as a fan, a big fan, that's a really big deal to me. And I just saw this play called Covenant at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're listening and you're in Atlanta, like Covenant is a really good play. It talks about like Black people and religion, and it's just, I don't even want to give it away, but it's kind of a thriller. So yeah, if Covenant comes to your city or whatever, yes ma'am to Covenant.
Okay.
And then no ma'am is the government shutdown and these health subsidies. I don't think people realize how impactful these health subsidies are and how much people's premiums are about to increase next year if they run out.
Say it.
So when people say or when they imply I'm not worried about that stuff until it comes to my front door, it's already at your front door.
It is.
It's there. It's sitting in your living room. Even for people who say, well, I don't have insurance. Yeah, like the system is so shitty, you don't even want to get insurance. Like, I really hate that. I really hate that. So yeah, that's where I am with it. And also, can I tell people where to find me? Because you asked about.
Towards the end, we do
we'll
that.
Get that. We got you. Don't worry. We got you. Don't worry.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We got you. Don't you worry.
Y'all professionals. Let me sit back.
You fine.
Okay, my spam Pam. So it's gonna be to the show, but I decided to change it because the show's a white ass show. Let me not do that. I will instead do my spam Pam for an album I've been rocking with the past month, and it's called Whimsy by Destin Conrad. Destin Conrad, who is a young queer like pop artist, but now this album is a jazz album, alternative jazz. They have writing credits for Kehlani. Like they're super dope there. They have I have for sure heard them with their song called Bad Bitches featuring Kehlani. And then they have a whole album, I think it's called Love on Digital or EP. They also dropped a alternative jazz album last month called Whimsy, and it's just so good. Like this is the type of shit that I'm like, this would make me go to a jazz bar and listen to somebody. It features a poem by our girl Bay Davis as well too, which is amazing. The poem's gorgeous. And it's a really, really good album. I actually play a lot when I'm working because it's interesting, it's fun, it's fun to listen to and sing along with, but also just to work with. So if you haven't heard it yet, Whimsy by Destin Conrad. My no man Pam. It's just to this year, 2025, girl. I got a bone to pick with you. Like, I just want to know what's the reason. Why are you taking out our loved ones? Like, who hurt you? You start off okay. It's like 2025 start off saying like, listen, I know the world sucks, so I'm gonna let y'all have most of the year to yourselves. And then this past month, she was like, actually, I'm growing a little restless, so I'm just gonna bop 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 and call that a good damn day. Like, girl,
yes, baby.
What's the reason?
I saw somebody say, I need to have a talk with the Grim Reaper because, baby, you getting old and you keep missing.
Right.
It's time for the Grim Reaper to retire.
Ask for one or two people.
Yeah.
And They keep saying, nah, not that today. Not
Nah,
that one today.
you
that one today,
keep getting the wrong D. That's what somebody else said. We didn't
Wrong
say
D.
Diane. We didn't say D'Angelo.
Of
It's
all the D's, like,
DONALD.
so
You
many
keep
D's that you
taking
keep
the
using.
wrong D from us.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
I want
moment.
to talk to somebody in management.
That part.
Okay.
I'm going.
Let me speak to your manager.
Let me put on my
Who's in
Karen
charge here?
because I'm going to the
It's
manager,
giving
girl.
first week on the job.
I want to
Okay.
know. I need to speak to the manager about
Please.
why all of these black people I love keep being taken from us. Yes.
That's
What?
mine.
Serious.
That's it. That's it. 2025 is one for the books, girl. And I'm trying to stay. I'm trying to find joy where I can find it. But my God, every time I wake up, I'm like, I'm literally, what's her name from The Help, when she was walking in and she walked up to that white lady, she said, ain't you tired, Miss Hilly? Ain't you tired? That's how I feel to 2025. Ain't you tired? Ain't you tired? Oh, but anyway, all that to be said, please send us your thoughts, feedback, and emails to blackfatfempod@gmail.com. We love your messages. We love any emails, anything you send us, whether it be funny or not, we love it. So thank you for sending whatever information you send over. We love it, and we definitely will share it on the show with. And if you feel as if you want us to share this with the listeners, so you can also send us your thoughts via social by interacting with our Instagram and Threads by using the handle BlackFatFemPod. We are there. We are active. Shoot us a message. Come on down. Come on down. It's a fun time. All right, Queen Joho, where can the dolls find you?
Of course, my loves, as you can every week, you'll find me at Joho Dance across all socials. My website, journeydance.com. And if not there, you can find me at cryogenic chamber, sleeping to the sounds of Renaissance, and emerging hopefully in 2074 when the US is hopefully better or non existent. Who's to say?
Real. That is, I feel that
Who's
on
to
a
say?
real level. Christian, where can the dolls find you?
Yes, it's the Kristian A. Smith. Christian is spelled with a K, so it's Kristian A. Smith. The Kristian A. Smith on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. If you go to my Instagram or Facebook and type disrupt in the comments on my most recent post, I'll send you some information about how to connect with our digital community, because we do all of our programming online. We only meet in person like 2 or 3 times a year.
Cool.
So yeah, we go live every Wednesday night in our Patreon. So yeah, just go to the Kristian A. Smith on Instagram or Facebook, type disrupt in the comments on my most recent post, and then we can connect from there.
Amen. And I'm sure, like I said, there are going to be listeners and people who are really happy that they found you and that they heard from you today. So we are really, really grateful for that. As for me and mine, you can find details about me and where I will be and what I will be doing at www.drjohnpaul.com. You can also find me on all the socials, Dr. John Paul. You have to spell out doctor. I'll be telling the babies, you can't just put DR. It's DOCTOR, John Paul, JONPAUL. You can also go buy my book down to the Amazon. You can buy it at Barnes and Noble. You can buy it at your local bookstore. Support the local bookstores because, baby, they are going out of business because money is drying up left and right, honey. It's tough out there, honey. It is. Love is a battlefield. You can also watch my spot on ABC, Our America, Who I Meant to Be. You can watch that on ABC or Hulu. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm on Fuse. You can catch me on MSNBC, all of the different places. Pretty much, yeah. That's that on that. We want to thank our super producer Joey Pat for making this shit pop, and everyone over at iHeartMedia for making and keeping this show up and running. We would like to also shout out our wonderful editor, Chris Rogers, because without him, we would have no audio or visuals down to the tubes of you. That's YouTube for those of you who don't know. This has been another show. Stay black, fat, femme, and fabulous. And remember what, Joho?
We may not be your cup of tea, but honestly, girl, you can choke on our trophies, darlings. On our trophies.
10 across the board.
Thank
I
you.
love us for real. Until next week. Bye.
Bye.